In this video, we will briefly talk about polymorphism. Let's understand what polymorphism means. Poly means many. Morph means changing shape or changing forms. So polymorphism means something that takes up many different forms. In Java, when we have different objects of the same type, but if they behave differently under different circumstances, that's when we say that it is polymorphic. A good example of this would be the drive method. The drive method belongs to the vehicle class, but as we discussed in the previous video, all the different children of the vehicle class are also vehicles. So we can say that boat is a vehicle, train is a vehicle, car is a vehicle, plane is a vehicle, bike is a vehicle. And also, commercial plane is a vehicle, and fighter jet is also a vehicle. So if we are instantiating a boat object, we can say this. This is the boat constructor, the new keyword, this is the name of our object, and this is the type of the object. Because vehicle is a parent of boat, when we are creating a boat object, we can define its object type as vehicle. In the same way, if we are instantiating a plane, we can write this. This is the new keyword, the plane constructor, the name of the object, and the type of the object. So you see, even though this is a boat, it is actually a vehicle object because we defined it that way. Even though this is a plane, we defined it as a vehicle type object. In the same way, we can do the same for cars and bikes and trains. So now that we understand that we can instantiate these things as vehicle type objects, let's look at what the drive method actually did. When we defined it in our code, we basically just printed the word driving. And this is what the method looked like. So what happens if we call myBoat.drive? It would say driving because drive is a parent level method and boat will be able to access that method. And when it accesses the method, it goes here and just prints out the word driving. If we do the same for myPlane, we would say myPlane.drive, and that would also give us the same result. So for each and every one of these objects, whenever we call the drive method, we just get this result, driving. The word driving is printed in the output console. But do we really drive a boat? Do we really drive a plane? No, we sail a boat and we fly a plane. We drive a car. So what can we do so that whenever we use the drive method, based on what type of object is calling it, we change the output of the drive method? Let's remove this for now. So if we call the drive method using our boat, we would say myBoat.drive. Currently, the output that we will get is the word driving. In the same way, if we call myPlane.drive, we will get the same result. We will get driving. But it would be nice if instead of driving, we get sailing for our boat. And for our plane, it'll be nice if we get flying. We will call the same method, but we want different results. In order to do that, we need to override the drive method in the boat class and in the plane class. So in the boat class, we will have a drive method, but it would be overridden. In the same way, for the plane class as well, we will override the drive method. So even though our boat has been defined as a vehicle object, when we call the myBoat.drive method, because drive has been overridden in the boat class, this drive would be called and this drive will not be called. And if in this drive we define the method with an output sailing, then we will get the sailing output. In the same way, because we defined our plane as a vehicle type of object, when we call the drive method, it calls this method, which belongs to the vehicle class. But if we override the drive method and define a new method for drive here, then even though we define this as a vehicle type of object, when we call the drive method, this method will not be called. Instead, the overridden method will be called. And if we do this, then the same type of object, vehicle type of object, will behave differently based on different types of vehicles. So what would this method look like? Very simple. This method would look something like this, and this method would look something like this. So if we define our boat in this way, and if we define our plane in this way, where we specify both of their object types as vehicles, and then we call the drive method on our boat. The result that we would get would not be driving anymore, it would be sailing. And if we call the drive method for our plane, the result that we would get here is not driving, but it would be flying. And this we do by overriding the drive method in our boat class and also overriding the drive method in our plane class. So what's happening here? They both are the same types of objects because we define them as vehicles. They are both vehicle type objects. But when we call the drive method on each of them, they behave differently. So the same type of objects are behaving differently, and that is called polymorphism because the same type of object is taking up many different forms. They are polymorphic. I'll repeat that polymorphism means many shapes or many forms. The same object is taking different forms, and that is polymorphism. So let's look at the same example in code.